Hi, welcome to the Ryoknits podcast. My name is Rhiannon, and this is just where I talk about my knitting and share what I'm working on and what I'm making. So if you're new here, welcome. I noticed there was a little uptick in subscribers, so I thought I would just start by introducing myself. And I feel also like a lot of knitting podcasts just start with an introduction, so it's a good practice. I never developed that habit of having a catchphrase, but I often say I'm an intermediate knitter living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with my wife and cat. So there's a little information about me, but I should also add now I've been knitting about 6 years. So this is around the time of year that I think I started knitting back in, 7 years. 2015 is when I picked it up, I think. Anyway, I have been knitting for a while. I am also a knitwear designer. I have a couple designs on Ravelry, and I also have some in the works always. It is very much a hobby for me, not a career or job opportunity. I wouldn't even call it a side hustle because I don't hustle. It either happens or it doesn't. I am also a knitting teacher, so I started teaching a little more than a year ago, and I teach at a local yarn store, Cream City Yarn, which is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's in Brookfield, so it's just over the county line, but it is a really lovely yarn store, and I think it's like the local yarn store in Milwaukee. So hi, welcome. And another thing is, I work a day job. I'm a 9-to-5er, so I don't have endless amounts of time to knit. So that is something that I feel like kind of sets some podcasts apart is, there's a lot of podcasters who either their career is in the yarn industry, they're a full-time designer, or they're a full-time yarn dyer, or they're just a person who doesn't work a 9-to-5. And so they have kind of either unlimited knitting time or like a lot more knitting time, or knitting is really part of their job, and so they have to be doing it. None of those applies to me. I have another whole thing that I do Monday through Friday, and this is really just a hobby. But it's also a life passion, of course. Hi, welcome in. I am recording on the coldest day of my life, and I say that not kidding. It was, when I woke up, it was like -2 Fahrenheit, and I think that is like -20 Celsius or something like that. I remember... Now I remember what the temperature was Celsius, but not Fahrenheit. Go figure. So it was negative, because I was looking it up for conversion, and it was like -21 Celsius. But then the actual, what it feels like, was like -34 Celsius. So it's really cold. We're having a blizzard, a genuine blizzard. And I just wanted to pop in before the year ends to talk about a couple finished objects, share those with you. Also to talk a little bit about my plans and intentions for the upcoming year. So that's what this is going to be about. I guess one of my intentions should be to buy a new tripod, because I can't find mine right now. So my phone is propped up against a plant pot on a stepladder. It's real classy. Anyways, I've had this tripod forever. Because podcasting is a hobby of mine, I don't really want to invest a lot of money into like fancy equipment because I don't, it's not a way of making money or anything like that. And also I bought like a plastic tripod, and then I felt like, oh God, I can't just keep ordering more of these and then that's just more plastic in the landfill. So something else about me is I'm kind of more of an environmentally conscious person. I don't know. But you know, I when I buy like plastic stuff, like cheap plastic manufactured stuff, I really think about getting all the use I can get out of it, and I really struggle with throwing it in the trash. Because it just feels like it's not something that will biodegrade or be repurposed in any way. So, yeah. Okay, let's get started. So what I'm wearing is my Wallin honey. This is the second sweater I ever made, and I really like it, and I've worn it a lot. I don't remember if the pattern originally had 3/4 sleeves. I think it did, and I think the sleeve is one of the best things about it because I'm a big fan of not full-length sleeves. So I'm actually considering that it might be good to knit another one of these in the coming years because there are just some things with the way a circular yoke fits that I've learned over time to make it fit better. Taking some of the stitches out of the back. And I tried to do that a little bit with this one, but did it too late. So this was only my second sweater. I didn't know a lot about shaping. I didn't know a lot about how I liked things to fit. The other thing I might redo is maybe use a softer yarn. If not for the whole thing, at least for the collar, because this is the Jamieson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight, and it's a really nice yarn. It's very sturdy. It wears well. It comes in beautiful colors, and I really bought it because well, I knew it would be sturdy because it's Shetland yarn from Shetland sheep. But I also bought it because the color was exactly what I wanted, and what I like, my vision for this was like I call it my raspberry honey sweater. And so it's this like perfect raspberry red, which maybe the camera picks up, maybe it doesn't, you know, but I do think that I would remake it in a smaller size. It's got a lot of ease, which is nice, but I don't think I need that much ease. I would probably split for sleeves sooner, and I would probably, you know, like I said, do a slightly softer yarn, because while I love a toothy yarn, right on my neck it can be a bit much, and I love the way the neck of this fits like pretty closely. It's a good crew neck sweater. So anyways, yeah, that's what I'm wearing. So yeah, I've had this for many years now. I think I made it in 2017, maybe 2018. It's been through a few winters, and this used to be one of my warmest sweaters, but now that I live in Milwaukee, I've definitely found that I can knit. I can do like color weight with worsted weight yarn, and I will not be too warm. It is cold here. It is really cold in the winter, and the cold lasts longer. So before this, I was in Portland, Oregon. So the Pacific Northwest is a wet cold, but it's not nearly as cold. Yeah, so that's that. I'm drinking some Earl Grey tea. I think it has either sweater fuzz, like mohair, or possibly a cat hair in it now, so maybe I'm done with it. But yeah, I've always been a coffee drinker, and lately I'm just trying to like I'm drinking a lot more black tea because there's only so long that you can keep the coffee hot in the cup. Yeah, this is just more lifestyle change stuff. So anyways, let's talk about my finished objects. So the first one is the mashup beanie that I was making. So this is the Mindy beanie by Quayln Stark, and it is a fully reversible hat. I fudged the stitch count and I used the decrease of another hat pattern to get this nice, very flat top. So it's a really big hat, and then the top, the crown is very flat and almost kind of square. I am reluctant to put it on because, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna like get lice or anything, but I bought this yarn at a antique store, so it was definitely like sitting in a bin. Many people touched it. I don't know where it came from before that, but this is brown sheep nature spun or prairie spun. It's the worsted weight one, and the color is, I think, cherry. And then the black is a Lion brand wool yarn that it's just called wool yarn or something like that. And then I used one stripe of that cherry pink, and then 2 stripes below it are actually just a scrap I had in my stash. So it's a slightly darker pink. And I think it's just a nice hat. It's gonna be, you know, it's worsted weight, it's double thick. I think this is gonna be a really good one. And it does look huge, but it's all knit in stockinette and it's double thick, so that the exterior has to be kind of big for it to fit and cover my ears, and then also to accommodate the inside. So that's the first finished object, and I sort of approached this with just wanting to experiment, and told myself if it doesn't fit me and I don't end up wearing it, as with all hats, you can always gift it. Somebody will love this, so it will fit someone, if not me. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object, which I didn't anticipate finishing, well, I knew it would be a quick knit, but I didn't think that I was going to enjoy it so much. I made the Sophie shawl by Petite Knit, I think, not the Petite Knitter. I do mix them up. I'm not gonna apologize for it. But anyways, it is, you may have seen the Sophie scarf, which is a small, I think it's fingering weight kind of neckerchief thing, and it wraps around and around. So this is the same, basically the same thing, but it's worsted weight. It's at a much bigger gauge, and it's just, you know, you cast on a small number of stitches, you do I-cord edges and garter stitch in between, you increase to a certain point, and then you decrease back down. Patterns like this are really fun because there's sort of a gamification thing where you knit to the middle and then it goes faster the second half. So the first half is slower, the second half is faster because you have fewer and fewer stitches. It also is just a really nice pattern for, I mean, it's called a shawl, but to me it is a scarf. And I even went up a needle size, and well, you can really see where I wove in my ends, can't you? Right there, right there. Anyway, I went up a needle size to a size 9 needle, and I just think it's really, to me, it's a scarf, and I would not probably wrap it more than one full wrap. When I'm wearing it, I might then tie these ends like that. I was reflecting as I was knitting this that there is sort of this weird thing about people, experienced knitters often think of scarves as like something rectangular and beginnerish, right? Like this is what you knit when you first start knitting, is just a rectangle. And then somehow shawls are like something more complicated, but most of the time when I make a shawl, I'm going to wear it as a scarf. It really is just wrapped around my neck. I don't spend a lot of time doing the kind of activities where I would need something sort of artistically draped around my body, and so all the knitters I know who make shawls, they just wear it like a scarf. So I don't know why I can see why with this pattern, because she made the smaller one and called it a scarf, that she called this a shawl. But it's a big scarf, you guys. It's a big scarf. So I mentioned the ends being woven in. I knit this with the La Bien-Aimée Corey worsted, and I had seen another YouTuber talk about how they use that yarn and they found a lot of knots in it. So what we mean by knots is you come to a point in the yarn where it's just been tied in a knot. Like maybe they couldn't get a full 100-gram skein out of what they had, and so they added another end, and then so anyway, so I used 2 skeins of that, and I had to weave in like 7 ends. So yeah, I should have only been weaving in 3 ends, you know, either the beginning and the end, and then where I switched to the second skein. But actually there were a ton of knots in it, and I feel like for $38 a skein or whatever this is, I mean, it's not an inexpensive yarn. It just seems like maybe there shouldn't be so many knots in it. I don't know. Maybe that's like an unrealistic expectation. I don't understand how yarn is milled or something like that. That's very possible. But I just was kind of like, I was a little unhappy about that. But it is a beautiful, soft, sagey green. The yarn gets its color not just from the dye, but because there are dark and light wools mixed. So there are these sort of like dark, more hairy, or almost like a guard hairs or something, mixed with the white wool. And it's a blend of wool from 2 kinds of sheep, so Corriedale and I think Falkland Merino. It is quite nice. It is quite soft. It's very squishy. Even though I went up a needle size to get a slightly drapier fabric, it's still a very squishy, nice, beautiful shawl. Scarf. I will be very happy to have this in the winter. And I should also say that this shawl is very easily adapted to whatever quantity of yarn you have. If you buy any 2 skeins of worsted weight yarn, or you just have 2 skeins, you could even color block it and do, you know, half in one color, half in the other. I would say just stop when you have less than 2 rows worth of yarn left and switch to the other one and start decreasing. So yeah, I didn't have the exact yardage that the pattern calls for, but I just knit until I was gonna run out of 1 skein, and then I just joined the other skein, and I ended up with very little leftovers, which is satisfying to me. So I love this. I'm happy to have it. And I really thought I was gonna knit this as like my work meeting knitting. And I did sometimes, but I had fewer meetings because it's the end of the year, and I think people are not really wanting to take on more work right now. So it's been a little slow at work, which is great. But I ended up knitting this like all the time. I took it with me to knit nights and to other meetups, and I worked on it in the evenings watching TV. It just was, it was kind of addictive. So I think I may have found my thing that, you know, everybody was knitting the half and half triangles wrap because it's a big garter stitch square. And I cast one on, and I really thought I would like it a lot, but it's sort of like on that one, the first half gets faster and faster and the second half gets slower and slower. So I'm really stuck on the second half, and it's not my favorite knit. So this might be my like thing, my big garter stitch thing that I just knit like 25 of, because I mean, this would be perfect as a gift. You could knit it with really any worsted weight yarn. You could play with the gauge. You could change the the needle size. You could throw in some mohair, you could stripe it, you could, the kind of the possibilities are endless. It's a really good blank slate project, and it's, produces something that's very nice and functional to have. So happily done with that one as well. A little bit of a progress update. I had cast on the Vertices Unite shawl, and this one is super fun. I found that I would work on one portion of it and just get really into that portion and kind of just like go to town on it, and then finish that section and then set it aside, and then come back in a couple weeks and repeat that process. So I started off with this section that was all light and dark purple stripes. And then and then you pick up sideways and you do your, so this I think is colors A and B, colors C and D, and you're actually doing short rows to make it asymmetrical. I switched the gray yarn partway through because I'm using up lots of leftovers and I wanted this to have just like a ton of colors in it. I also switched the light purple shade from a more lavender to a more I don't know what I would call this color, but it's almost like a beige purple. Is that a color? Anyways, then I did this big section, and I did this in a wool silk blend from Holst to help double with a silk mohair from Knitting for Olive. So it's a big beige, true beige swath of color, or swath of beige, arguably not a color. And then I'm doing a section in navy, so that's the color C again from down there. So far this is what I have. See if you can really, this is actually kind of my first time looking at it like this. So yeah, I'm going to be knitting another section in between these two here, or maybe even two, I think maybe it's two sections. And then I will be picking up stitches all the way around and putting a border on it. So the border is just a little, I think a little I-cord or something. I don't know when I'm going to be done with this, but this one's really fun. Because there is like picking up stitches and there are techniques that are kind of new to me, I can't really just do this as TV knitting until I've sort of got onto a section, and then I'm, and then I'm just kind of repeating for a while. But I have some, I think this is also Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight in this sort of heathered lavender color. So there's going to be a solid section of that, and then I think there's a gray stripe with purple section, and I'm kind of debating because I'm afraid this is going to look too much like that first section, where it's this sort of reddish purple striped with a lavender. I'm afraid it's going to look too much like that, so I might, instead of every other row striped, I might do like bigger stripes, like do 5 rows of one color and 5 of the other or something, or I might do it just a solid gray. I don't know. But then I'm worried that if I did a solid, it would be like stripes over here and then solids over here. I'm not sure if that's a bad thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's fun to sort of play with color and move them around. So there's that. So one work in progress that's new that you would not have seen on the show is that I'm spinning. I don't think I shared this before. If I did, I apologize, but I started spinning with a drop spindle, and it's very much baby's first spin kind of quality. Not sorry about that. I think it will be lovely no matter what, and I don't even know if I want to knit with this after I spin it. I might just want to look at it and enjoy it and appreciate that I made it, you know? So yeah, that's just something I picked up. I actually worked on it for like one weekend and then put it down and haven't come back to it. Just because it's hard to be learning something new and to incorporate that into a busy day, you know, where maybe you don't have a lot of brain space at the end of the day and you just want to like pick up your familiar project and work on that. So yeah, I'm hoping to pick that back up over the next week because I have a week off from work, and I am really excited about that. I have been in need of a vacation. I wanted to talk about a little bit about some of my goals for the coming year. But before I do that, I want to show you some things that I did. So I participated in a gift exchange with some other fiber friends, and it was really great. The other thing I want to show is that I recently reorganized my yarn cabinet, and for those who don't know, I have had a tumultuous relationship with stash, but that shouldn't surprise you. You probably do too. Essentially, my thing is that I don't like to have too much stuff, but I've learned that I do like to have an abundance of stuff, in the sense of I like to be able to cast on a pair of socks or a sweater or a shawl. Like, I like to have yarn for planned projects on hand so that if I get to a point where I'm sort of like, what next, or need inspiration, it's there for me. I don't have to go shopping in order to like figure out what to make. But I think in part because I lived in a very small apartment for many years, and also just in part because of who I am, I don't like to own tons and tons of stuff. And when I have too much yarn, it feels like an ignored to-do list. Like, I get the same sort of feelings about owning too much yarn as if the sink was piled full of dishes. And that doesn't really make sense, other than the only way I can explain it is that it's this feeling of I'm not keeping up, and it becomes sort of like a pressure. And I don't want my hobby and the thing that I really enjoy to feel like a pressure on me, like something I have to do, something I've been neglecting, something I'm not doing fast enough, or whatever, you know. So I've often tried to like weed through yarn and get rid of stuff. And anyways, I recently organized it in such a way that I think is really nice and makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna show you that really quickly, and then I'll show you the unwrapping the notions. So what I did is I took the sweater quantities that I had, and I just put them on the top, right? These are all the sweaters I'm going to be making in the near future. Some of them are for me, some of them not. But I just put them all together on top, and those are the things I'm going to be casting on next. Then I went ahead and put all of the like rustic and color work kind of yarn. So for me, this isn't just for color work sweaters, it's also for shawls. But this is the sort of yarn that I find myself drawn to more and more as I go along in my knitting. Underneath that, I put all of my, this is like DK, worsted, Aran, everything I have that is sort of random or just not for a sweater. So I might have 2 skeins of something because I know I wanted to make a cowl with it, or 1 skein because it's intended for a hat, etc. So smaller project quantities, but also, you know, still organizing it by weight. And then finally at the bottom is where I put my lace and merino singles and all my sock yarn, because I am not a major sock knitter. I can't knit socks all the time. So I don't know. I think before I had always organized it with, you know, the lightest weights of yarn at the top and then worked my way down to the heavier weights. But I think I like this a lot better. And just aesthetically, my favorite colors are up on that top tier. So that top shelf is like all of my favorite colors. Hi, I'm gonna do a really quick video just showing unboxing a little gift that I got. So I participated in M to the third Mackenzie's Notions Exchange, and what it was is a group of us of I think 10 people. We all bought our favorite knitting notions and sent it to Mackenzie, and then she divvied it up so that everybody gets, you know, one of everything, and shipped it back out to us. So I'm gonna just unwrap it. I thought I was gonna be really good and wait until Christmas or until I recorded a podcast to open it up, but I'm just having kind of a tedious day, and I wanted to kind of, I don't know, treat myself, I guess, or just like put a little happy break in the middle of my day. So yeah, here goes. There's this sweet little Santa Claus card, which I'm not super into Santa, but you know, this is pretty cute. And it just says, thanks for participating in the 2022 Notion Swap. I had so much fun collecting items and packaging them up. I hope you enjoy, Mackenzie. I already know I'm gonna like it. So, all right. So under the tissue paper, it looks like there is a project bag, which is the perfect size for a small, like socks or a hat or a cowl. And to be honest, I am fully in the mode of I need to make more hats. I need to make more mittens and gloves. And, you know, I can always use another project bag. So I'm already excited about this. This one's really cute. It's got Christmassy stuff, and then it's got different cities, San Francisco, New York, etc. All right, let's see what's inside. So, first of all, there's a bar of chocolate. Who doesn't love chocolate? Next up, looks like this is one of the notions I got, but I got everybody some stitch stoppers from, what is this, Fox and Pine. I'll open it up and show you. And I actually just picked out a bunch of different colored hexagons. So they come in different shapes. There are hexagons, there's like, you know, other little kind of character things, but these are blue with little flowers and birds and stuff. They're really cute. I didn't used to like stitch stoppers, but I actually tried some of these. I bought some honestly because they were little strawberries with faces, and I thought they were too cute to pass up. But they're actually really useful. These I like way better than any other stitch stopper I've tried, because usually they're conical and they don't stay on very well, but these stay on really well. Somebody put in Albanese gummy bears, which I agree are the world's best. So I have already got a bunch of candy, and boy, am I happy. Here is more candy and treats. This is exciting. Utah truffle. I didn't know Utah was a flavor. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what all these are, but they're exciting. And it looks like there's a little like crocheted or knitted little star in here, which is so cute. That is so cool. This is like an alfajor. I don't know. Some kind of cracker. Here is, oh, this looks like one of those knitting barber cords. Let's see if I can open it. Okay, yes. These are also awesome. This is one of the, I feel like I just started hearing about these like last year, but the way it works is when you, it works really great if you have like a, you know, something that's on the needles that you need to try on. So you put this little tube on the end of the needle, and then you put the other end on the other end of the needle. And because it's just like a really thin plastic, it fits really snugly and it stays put. And then you can slide your stitches onto here and make the, you know, if it's like a sweater or whatever, you can make it as big as you want, like spread it out, spread the stitches out. And then you can try it on and you never have to take it off your needles. This is amazing. I also use this now when I need to hold stitches, you know, like if I have live stitches that I'm gonna pick up later, like I'm working on the Stephen West Vertices Unite shawl right now, and there's a lot of, it's a modular construction, so you do like one section and then you pick up stitches and do another section. And so there's some live stitches that I need to just hold from like section 2, and I need to just hold them until the end, so they're on one of these. So this is awesome because I already had one set of these, and yeah, this is a set of 3 just like the one I have. So now I have 6 of these. How awesome is that? This is also really useful if you're knitting hats, because oftentimes, you know, you want to have a small circumference for your hat, but you know, it's hard to try it on your head and to know, like, you know, with ribbing how big it's really going to be. Somebody also sent us these stitch holders, which, okay, these are also cool. I had never even seen one of these before, and then one of my coworkers gave me some that had been his grandma's. So these are really handy when you have a small amount of stitches to put on hold. So like if you were knitting a top-down sweater and you had sleeves that you were going to put on hold, you could put both of the sleeve stitches on here, and then they're like kind of contained and just like out of the way. And this would also work great for a sock or anything, you know, anything that was being knit in the round, you could put on there. It would be awesome. I mean, you could use this on something being knit flat too, but anyways. Okay, next. It looks like, oh, somebody sent us Tuft Woolen sock soap. Wow. And this is vetiver and cedarwood. So I love woodsy smells, especially like for home fragrance, for, you know, fabric. Cedar is really great for wool. It's known to keep the clothes moths away from your knits. So that is super awesome. I'm excited about getting that. Man, this is quite a treasure trove. Oh, tiny snips. How cute is that? These are really tiny little snips. They've got a nice little case, and it looks like the case, it looks like it has like a little, what do you call it? Like it fastens here, and that holds, that's so cool. Okay, so this holds, you can unsnap it, and that's what holds this cover on. So you never have to worry that it's just gonna slide off, because you see that little like gap there, you snap it in there. Wow, this is really cool. I didn't know that such a thing existed, but I have snips and the cover falls off of them a lot. So this is really useful if I can figure out how to put it back. Okay, we'll come back to that. I'm sure it's one of those things where it's like the first time you use it, it's like a little tough, but over time, like the plastic softens. Okay, this is another thing that I sent to folks because I recently used some of this glitter thread in with some knitting, and you just strand it along with your yarn, just like if you were stranding mohair or something, and it just puts that subtle shimmer in. This is kind of a dark silver color. It comes in, I think, 5 or 6 colors. They're all metallic colors. And then I think there's another line that has, you know, like red, orange, green, blue, whatever. But this is just really nice. It just adds a little sparkle to whatever you're knitting, and you get quite a lot of yardage in this little thing. I mean, this is 38 yards here, which, like, if you're using it in the color work, for example, you know, that's gonna take you pretty far. So this was just like a small little, you know, thing that I wanted to put in there. Yeah, because I was trying to figure out, like, what can I put in that isn't something everyone's already thought of. So I went with stitch stoppers and this, and then somewhere in here is like a little hat label. Okay, somebody gave us a really heavy duty measuring tape. As a new homeowner, I appreciate this because not only is it useful for knitting and sewing and fiber craft things, but like I always need a measuring tape. I'm always, oh, what size is that window? I need to get curtains, etc. So yeah, that's definitely something. Here is a collection of beautiful little notions. So it looks like there's a ceramic button. That is so cool. Let's see if I can open it. Oh golly. Yeah, so there's a tag that says made with love. This is the little hat tag I put in there. And then there's these really cute little stitch stoppers. This one looks like a candy, not stitch stoppers, sorry, stitch markers. And then these pretty little sparkly ones. You can't really see how sparkly they are, but they are, it's like a crackle effect glass bead. And then another glass bead that's like a mirror ball, kind of dark blue. So, I mean, you know it's blue, you know me, I like it. There's a cute pin that looks like a cityscape. And there is a ceramic button that's really pretty. It's got like a seafoam green kind of glaze on it. So here I am making a mess. All right, that is my little notions haul from the Notions Exchange. This organization has kind of helped me, I think, get in the mood for just leaning into some goals next year. So the first goal is that I really want to reestablish a lot of routines in my life. So I definitely want to start podcasting more regularly. I kind of took a year of not podcasting on a regular basis, and I think I probably only produced like 10 or less videos in the last year, in 2022. So I think in 2023, I want to try to get back to a regular schedule of every couple weeks, I'm going to call it every 2 weeks. That's my goal. And then the other goal, more specifically knitting related, I don't have a make 9 and I don't know all the things I'm going to make, but I do know that I want to try to knit myself 6 warm sweaters. So the reason I landed on 6 is because typically a sweater takes me anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks to complete. Just depends on how, you know, the weight of the yarn and like how complicated the design is and how interested I am in knitting it. I knit the Luma pretty fast. That was a 4-week sweater. I've done, you know, I think a fingering weight sweater in about 8 weeks. So, you know, and I'm not an exclusive knitter, so I will knit on a sweater and also have something else going on the side. That's fine. But I've been just reflecting on how, you know, the living in a different climate and wanting to have more sweaters, and wanting to be more intentional about knitting things that have been in my queue for a really long time. I know that I want to knit the Sweater Hug by Skeindeer Knits. I have the yarn for it. I am ready whenever I get to it. I also want to knit the Gell tunic. Has been on my wish list since the minute I saw it. It's a beautiful design. I've long known exactly how I want to do the caffeine colorway of this yarn, which is the Harrisville Daylights. It's such a perfect sweater, and I feel like it would be so great for this climate where I could wear it with leggings, or I could wear it with jeans even. It's a fun, weird length where it's kind of a tunic, it's kind of almost a dress, but not. So there's a lot of options for it. I know I want to make a cardigan of some kind because I feel like I'm always wishing I had one. I don't know which pattern yet. I've sort of looked at different patterns and nothing has so far, kind of screamed my name at me like, it's me, I'm the one, right? So I'm still sort of thinking about it, but I know I want to just knit myself like a big cozy, like a gray cardigan. I need that. There's also a pattern that's been on the back burner for a long time, and I have yarn to swatch to figure out how I want to lay the colors out, because I'm changing the colors, and it's a 2-color design, but I'm making it more than 2 colors. So that is Nigella by Marie Wallin. And I really want to do that one for the Marie Wallin knit along, which goes until next August. So I need to figure out my colors pretty quickly. And then I know I want to do Vargo by Sari Nordlund. So really what this is shaping up to be is, I think I want to knit sweaters from my all-time favorite designers. So Skeindeer Knits, Sari Nordlund, Sarah Solomon, Marie Wallin. These are all designers whose work I adore, and like so much of what they come out with, I'm looking at it going like, yeah, I want to make that too. I want to make that too. So I think, just doing those things that you really, really like. And for whatever reason, I often get distracted by this thing over here or that thing over there. I don't know. I feel like I need to kind of commit to these because I've just been admiring them for a long time, and it doesn't make sense to me like why I buy yarn and set it aside for something and then I end up knitting something else, and then wishing I had knit that first thing. I think sometimes it's just like in the summer when it's hot, I don't want to knit a winter sweater, but I should remember that winter is coming and that it's long. Like, it's very hard to remember when the temperature hits, 85 and it's humid, that there are days like today when it's freezing and, literally you're told not to leave the house because it's too cold to survive outside for more than 5 minutes. So I know that I'm going to get use out of these things, and I need to just do them. Finally, number 6, and I want to be clear, like, I'm not trying to say I'm only going to knit 6 sweaters. I just think these are 6 that I want to make happen. I want to do something that has a wool cotton blend, because I feel like there's that transitional weather where I could just use more, for whatever reason, I have ready to wear cotton sweaters, and then I have knitted wool sweaters, and I don't have anything that's just like all over wool cotton blend, which I think would be really ideal for some of these, in the fall when it's a little chilly in the, at the beginning and end of the day, but like the day itself is pretty warm, like just to have more transitional pieces, I guess. So that's kind of it, is that I'm trying to get things that have been in my queue or on my to knit list for a long time. I'm like, why don't I just knit them? what am I waiting for? What am I saving them for? You know, I think I need to just do it. Of course, I will also be knitting whenever I need to knit for samples of designs that I'm working on, or for the classes I teach. It's good to have a sample in the shop that people can look at, you know. So I'm going to be knitting other things for sure. But that's kind of my tentative 2023 knitting goal. So that's everything I had for today. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the new year, and I hope that wherever you are staying warm, you are staying comfortable, and that you are knitting something that's bringing you joy. All right, bye.